Sanders.
Here.
Mrs. Waltney.
Here.
Mr. Wolf.
Here.
Mr. Sims.
Here.
And Mrs. Nelms.
Here. All right, all present? Good. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
So moved from Councilor Gwaltney. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilor Wolverton. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0. Minutes are approved. Okay. We will start. I know we've got some folks in the back. Maybe we can take out of order. Are you here for Bagby Drive or for 18th Street South? Okay. Oh, you're here for Bagby? Okay. Well, let's start. We'll jump down to new business. Is that okay, everyone? We'll jump down to new business. Okay. So we'll start with 13-11-20, public hearing set for January 11th, 2020, for consideration of rezone at property at 2510 18th Street South from C2 to R7. The applicant is Gold Nugget LLC to permit construction of an 8-unit townhouse development. This was at the Planning Commission in November. We voted 8-0 for a favorable recommendation of the rezone. Mr. Pugh and any other representatives? Oh, Vicki? Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for sticking around, Vicki. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. As stated, this was heard at Planning Commission. They voted 8-0 for favorable recommendation for the rezone. They looked at what was some of the allowable uses under C2, which were not particularly attractive to the city, and they're asking for R7 in order to do these townhome development, 8.
Okay. All right. We have a representative from Gold Nugget with us. Come forward. There you go. And if y'all will sign in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you tell me, I didn't know if we were here to answer questions or here to present. What would be best?
Well,
for
if you'll
you?
just make sort of a general presentation, and this will go out for a public hearing on January 11th, and so we can really get into some details at that time. And of course,
Okay.
anyone has any questions now, of course, but this is just sort of more of a general overview
Okay.
of where we are and how things look. And do you have any drawings that we can put up on the screen?
I do, yes. If we know how to hook up, either have a drive or I can hook up.
Brian in the back, he's in the back, I can text him if you,
Yeah.
okay.
Got
Oh.
it. I've got this for him, or if I could.
Yeah. Brian, we've got a thumb drive up
Pick it
here.
One or the other. Do you want me to wait till we can?
Let's see. Brian, are you back there? We've got a thumb drive. We can,
Yeah, hold on, I'll come get it.
thank you so much. Oh, Robert's going to bring it to you. Thank you. Do you want to give us a little summary of anything while he's
Sure,
bringing the
I'd be
pictures
glad
up?
to.
Yeah.
John Abernathy, 303 Ascot Road. I'm here representing Gold Nugget, which is the owner of the property, which is 3 individuals. Again, this will be on the presentation, 3 individuals, and then we're venturing together. I'm representing Blackwater Real Estate. We're based in Vestavia, and we'll be the builder and the developer partnering with the Gold Nugget. So the existing property is Zone C2, and we're here asking for the R7. And we asked for a BZA setback of 1 foot as well in order to put the townhomes right up on the road. And when we get the drawing, I'll show you some of the reasons why, some of the limitations. But we're asking to rezone R7 to C, from C2 to R7.
And
Yeah,
you
so
just-
John, I've got it. What I'll do is just pull it up. You just tell me next one from there.
Great.
Just guide me.
So I know you don't want a full presentation. I'll just move quickly. We could back up. This was a concept drawing. It should show 6, but we're asking or planning for 8 townhomes, but this was just a concept drawing to put something on the table for everybody to see. You can just scroll through if you'd like to. So again, we asked for from C2 to R7 and the 1-foot setback on the BZA.
And did you say you did have approved, the BZA has passed that, or is that still in front of the BZA?
We did, it did get approved. Okay. You can move forward. Again, that's the group that would be the development group for the property. The existing owners, Gold Nugget, have owned it, I think, around 14 years, that it sat the way, the condition it currently is. Okay. So this is the property. This is just a survey of the property showing, I'm sure you've seen it, where the asphalt is. Okay. And you can keep scrolling. These are hard to see. Great. I did want to mention this, and I know some of you have seen this, but for those that weren't here, and I wasn't familiar, the Gold Nugget entity donated the yellow piece of property to the city back in '08. So there was some, I believe there was a vacation of an old right-of-way that was not constructed. And so that hillside is all woods today, and that was something that they donated and just was additional buffer between some of the residential in this
If you want
property.
to know the real history, they tried to donate it to Rosedale, and Rosedale gave them a bunch of conditions to get it donated, so they just gave it to the city. That's
Correct,
the history.
correct. Okay. So this, as I mentioned on the depth, the blue is the Birmingham Water Board right-of-way, and then you have a red and green green's a storm. I believe green is a sanitary, and the red is a storm. But these are the easements that run through the property, and the blue cannot be developed on or graded on or really anything, landscaped on. It has to be avoided. And so that basically gave you something even smaller than what you see out there where you see the asphalt. It's even smaller than where the asphalt is. And so that gave us depths of 30 to 60 feet, really extremely tight. And so that's where we asked for the setback, because under the R7 it had a 24-foot setback, whereas under C2 it's 0. So the buildings could have been right up on the road as currently zoned. Okay. So again, these are just, you can scroll through, these are pictures, you're aware of the site, but wanted you to see, just for effect, what people see when they're driving through into Homewood. This is the C2 zoning and where it sort of borders up to the industrial, all right? So these are the C2 uses. Jen, just to call out some of the less desirable uses that could currently occupy that space. Okay. And so we were, just for effect and just to show you, because we were going down the road initially of doing a commercial project, and so we looked at some of the things that we could do there. This was the max square footage of an office retail building that we could do, 3,000 feet, and still be able to park it. So I did put these in here to show you some of the things that we were initially considering. Go ahead. This was a car wash. This is kind of how it would operate. You can continue to go. Gas station, similar if you've seen the one in Mountain Brook and downtown that's so tight. This would be a lot bigger than that, but this would be a gas station. Go ahead. And we looked at how the trucks would service. We kind of went through our whole process of trying to figure out what was best. There you go, gas station. And then we decided at the end of the day, we felt like this was the best, best for the property and what we wanted to build there, what the ownership group wanted to do there. And so this is the site plan. We have 8 townhomes, mostly 2-bedroom. There's one bedroom in there. And we believe, maxed out the site with parking that's allowed. You can keep going. This is some grading. We just wanted to show utilities. We wanted to show you the efforts we made. This is some initial sketches. You can continue to go. This is the elevation. Again, nothing's firm about this, okay? We just wanted to have a street presence. We wanted to have a door, try to protect it. We wanted to have a good look, and we look at putting some balconies on the back, but not on the front, since it's so close to the road, but just wanted to show you one concept. Okay?
When we were discussing it at the Planning Commission, Chief Hill had mentioned needing a break in, between like 4 units in, like in the middle of the property to get water in there. Is
Yeah.
that going to be addressed in your?
We're going to work on it with the architect. Yeah, there is a fire hydrant close by So I know they didn't know at that hearing how close it was, but I believe it is pretty close to the property. So we kind of just put that off for a little while until our architect figured out
Okay,
what
so-
exactly the distances were. And if we need to break it, we will break it in half.
So you'll have that January 11th, you maybe have that information, and
Yeah.
you'll check with Chief Hill on that?
Yeah, and so but we haven't taken it down the road, but we'll either put them together or we'll break them apart in the middle and have 4 and 4 with a walkway between. We probably are not going to sprinkler, but I know that was one of the comments. Showing you this because there were some questions about from the road, what does it look like? So this showed the sidewalk, which we'll be replacing as part of our work. That donation that you saw up there required for the owner to replace the sidewalk when it was developed. So that'll be something we're doing. And then that showed the 1 foot, and then this was a cut section to show you how far it was from to a front door through a screen wall. It's about 10 feet or so. But the corner of the building will be close, but the doors will be about 10 feet. Okay. Traffic was something that we discussed a lot, and here just calling out that we talked with Greg. We've gone through the IT manual and parking. Number of trips for residential, it's very low, but there were some comments about people saying that maybe it would be hard to get in and out, but we were just calling out for effect at that bottom. If you did a gas station, for instance, 822 cars is what they would say would come in and out of that gas station every day versus we're looking at 30 cars in and out. And so I've personally driven it at the peak times of traffic, school, in and out. I think that the light there up at Valley stops pretty well, and I was able to get in and out pretty easily. And again, the peak hour in the PM is 6 trips. So that's what the manual would say for an 8-unit townhome development. So went through some of the benefits that we felt like it was. Currently, we felt like it looked blighted, and if you see from the pictures, I think you would probably agree it's not the best look coming in and out of Homewood. We feel like it's not really in a safe condition. If y'all have ridden up and looked at it, it's steep cliffs on the back into the Birmingham Waterworks Board property. It just is currently not in a well-kept situation. Again, this is an important corridor between Birmingham and Homewood. We feel like just cleaning this up will also encourage other properties to do the same. This was, did have a question about the target market, so this was just giving you a price range of where we felt like the units would rent for. It is definitely, on the higher end of this type of unit, but in line, and we only have 8, so we feel like we can be successful at that rate. And then we listed some of the target market. Again, it's probably not families, unless it's a single-parent situation. It's probably roommates, single professional, empty nesters, retirees. And then the last part was just wanting to, for our desire to say that we felt like it was a more desirable use at the end of the day is what we determined is to put a residential use here. Less intensive traffic, and we felt like encouraged with improvements on 18th, a more walkable situation up and down 18th. So that's it.
Any questions from the committee? Yeah, Ms. Gear?
Go ahead.
Well, yes, I'm not on the committee, but I do have a question. I went and looked at the lot. Are you taking up the entire lot, or is there a small portion on the north end that will still be for sale? Does
On
your
the north
development
end,
go- Yes, all
you
the
mean
way to
all the way up?
Mhm.
No, it's, the frontage is mostly all taken up, if that's what you mean. The asphalt is, I believe there's a small amount of asphalt that's off the property, that's someone else's, but we are taking up almost all the frontage, one end to the other that we own. If you look at the survey, you can see here where we have our entrance. There may be a little bit of asphalt off our property there.
Well, I'm talking about on the school board drive side, so there's nothing else that you own that will still be for sale. You're using the whole property.
If you don't mind zooming out a little bit, I think you've zoomed in. I think I know your question. The lot is like an L shape. Zoom out a little bit more if you can. It doesn't show it, but I think there's a different plan. Keep going back to maybe that plan with the easements. Okay, that was it. Perfect. If you see the boundary of the parcel, you're talking about back across the easements? Or are you talking about this way?
I'm talking about on 18th Street, heading toward Valley, so on the north side.
We're taking up all the frontage that
Okay.
we own, but there will be some asphalt that we do not own.
There is.
If you
Okay.
can look at this survey, you can
Is
sort of
there
see
a-
some.
Okay. Is it on the market right now, or do you know? Is there a,
I don't know if it's owned by the Board of Education or if it's owned by the Waterworks Board. I've never looked, but
Okay.
there's a tower there, a water tower.
Okay.
I don't think it's a private
You have to
owner.
subdivide the lot to sell in.
well, this is right on 18th Street. Maybe it's a part of your property. Maybe there's still a for sale sign of some sort there. There was a Graham sign, and,
Graham is his property.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So Graham is Gold Nugget LLC. It's Dan Lovell, Steve Graham, and Mike
Right.
Graham.
Okay, but there's nothing else separate from this fronting that road?
No.
Okay.
Again, I believe maybe, I haven't looked, but it may be the tower, the water tower property north.
There is a small lot between this property and the Board of Education owned by the Birmingham Water Works.
Oh, okay.
So, behind that, what people may not know is that easement that the waterworks has is a massive Tennessee coal and iron. I mean, it goes back 100 years, that easement. I mean, it is a massive pipe back there that you'll never be able to mess with. I guess brings water, I guess, is that what they're, I mean, is it, I don't know what they're.
It's the pipes that serve water to downtown Birmingham. Goes all
Okay.
the way down 280.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I just have one, my biggest concern about this is that we own that property next door, and it looks terrible. And I've talked to Wyatt about it, and if you do that, you're gonna make us look bad. I will tell you that, and so if y'all wanna clean up our property, for us,
Right.
we'd really appreciate that. I did speak to Wyatt about it because Nillipori complained to me that there's all kinds of activity and stuff going on there. I know this is I've had a friend that tried to buy this in the past. This is a really tough piece of land, very difficult piece of land. I commend you for trying to make it into a development because it is a physically challenging property.
It is, like literally, the only way we could get it work is to angle the buildings at the end of the day, or we couldn't even
Yeah.
figure out how to get cars in and out, so.
Okay, no more questions? Yeah,
Quick
Councilor
question.
Overton?
First one, you mentioned something about replacing the sidewalk. So is that currently in front of where the building?
Yeah, if,
Would
I
be.
don't have that document with me, but that document was done when the land was donated. I think there was a right-of-way vacated. There's language in that document about the sidewalk needing, being replaced.
So will it run the entire frontage of the of your lot, or how much?
Can't say we've looked at that, but I believe we have to connect on the north and south borders of our property, not just in front of the town.
Right. So there is already sidewalk south and north of?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then the only other question was, have you guys already finalized the sale?
We're not selling them, so the current concept is to keep them all together as one, so it'd be under one owner.
Sorry.
Okay.
The parcel, have you already finalized the sale of the property
So
itself?
there won't be a sale, so it's a partnership.
Okay,
So
with
the
Gold
owners
Nugget.
will
I
actually
gotcha.
be part of the development group.
Okay, cool.
I'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing without recommendation.
So the motion is to send out without recommendation per the public hearing from Counselor Sims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Counselor Gwaltney. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0, and we will see you on January the 11th. Thank you. Okay, 14/11/20, public hearing set for January 11th, 2020, 6 o'clock, for consideration of rezone property at 75 Bagby Drive from a C1 to mixed. The applicant is Melinda Sellers at Burr Foreman, Addison Investments, for use as a charter, school, or institutional facility. We saw this at the Planning Commission in November as well. It had a 7-0 favorable recommendation of the rezone. Vicki?
Yes, this is an existing building with parking. I believe it's been empty for a while, and they've come to us asking for the rezone to MXD in order at this time to use it for a charter school.
Anyone here on Zoom to talk to this issue?
Yes, ma'am. This is Melinda Stellers. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi. If it's okay with you, I'll take 55 of 60 as well as 75 Bagby together. I'm representing the two separate owners, if that's okay.
Is that's okay, right? Do I need to call the second issue? One at a time. Yep, sorry, one at a time. Thank you.
Okay. Nope. That's fine. This one is 75 Bagby, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. We're here seeking to go from C1 mixed use for 75 Bagby. The reason we are asking for mixed use is because there is mixed use at the top of the hill in the cul-de-sac area on Bagby Drive, and the proposed use is for a charter school at that location.
Ms. Sellers, do
Charter
you,
school
go
would
ahead.
make use of an existing building that's already on the site. For those of you that may not be familiar, it's been vacant for a number of years, but there is an existing building on 75 Bagby.
Do you have any illustrations, or will you provide those for us on January the 11th?
Illustrations of the site?
Yes,
like
ma'am.
The site plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Our application has an ALTA survey included in it, and I believe there is a representative there tonight that might have a site plan. If not, maybe not. We'll just bring one in January that would show kind of maybe a overall of what the refresh would look like of the site.
That'd be great. That'd be great. And Ms. Sellers, I remember asking the question, and if you could share with the committee, why you went for a mixed use versus the institutional zoning.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. One is, like I said, I think zoning, we try to keep zoning with like zoning, and there was mixed use at the top of that cul-de-sac. As we're going to talk about in just a second, the adjacent property, 5565, is asking to go to mixed use, so it makes sense for them to be the same zoning. And frankly, I was before the city council in 2015 on 5565, where we got it rezoned from C1 to C5. And in an effort to generate some activity in this area, at that time the proposed use was a storage unit facility, which did not come to fruition. And so that owner is just really looking for some flexibility in, with the zoning to get some occupancy on that drive and in that area. So it's really twofold. It's to be in keeping with what's at the top of that street, and also to provide some flexibility as well.
Okay, Councilor Wolverton.
What property are we saying is currently mixed use already? I'm not sure when we talk about the top of the cul-de-sac.
Well, that's what, she had some illustrations when they were at the planning commission that showed some surrounding properties and what you could see in the illustration. That's why I was asking her what.
There's like a Mason building or something up there at the top.
Yeah, there's some properties.
It's a retirement home.
Yeah, right above it.
Yeah, that's the MXD property.
Yeah,
Oh, that's currently MXD.
yeah. And Ms. Sellers,
I'm
if you.
sorry, I don't know the addresses of those. Vicky and I looked at those.
Yeah.
So she might know the addresses, but the best way to describe them is kind of at the top of that hill.
That's right, that's right.
It's actually addressed on Google Press.
It is, yeah. That's why I was a little confused, because we were talking about a cul-de-sac, and I drive there every day for work, so I didn't recognize what we were discussing.
I'm sorry, maybe a T. I'm not sure why I refer to it as a cul-de-sac. I
That's
just
all
think of
right.
it that way in my mind.
I guess I'm still a little bit confused. It sounds like, and we'll speak to just this one currently, but, and Mr. Kendrick, maybe you can weigh in on this. I guess I'm confused why MXD versus institutional still. It sounds like the proposals are for institutional, though.
I mean, especially because I think on 75, that is the charter school that's already been approved, is it not?
I don't know that, I mean, we passed it with a favorable recommendation for the rezone, but we didn't.
No, not for the actual.
I was gonna say, we didn't actually rule on the.
No, not
Right.
on the zoning or the building itself, but the actual school itself has been approved.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
And so, but that, and it'll go into this building, is
Yeah.
what my understanding is.
Okay. And approved by the state,
Yes,
is that what you mean? Okay, I see.
It has
Okay.
been approved. It was not approved at the time that this application was submitted.
Okay.
But yes, it has been approved.
So, but that's the only thing that's actually kind of finalized. The other buildings are not. There could be anything later.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I mean, I think, that's why, I mean, if it's going to be a charter school, I don't see why we would not just make it institutional.
That's where I was going with it.
She has to ask for that though, right, Mr. Kendrick? I mean, we can't assign that to her. She has to ask for that.
Application, we have to act on that.
Yeah.
We don't dictate what.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Anyone else?
Ms. Sellers, I have a question. In regards to the current planned tenant of the charter school, will they occupy the entire building?
Yes, I believe so. Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval pending the public hearing on January 11th.
So
You mean
a motion for, to send out without recommendation.
recommendation.
That's right. Without recommendation from Counselor Gwaltney and a second from, was that Counselor Sims?
Yes,
right?
I'll second that.
The second with Counselor Sims. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that goes out without recommendation 5-0 for January the 11th. Okay, now, Ms. Sellers, we'll move on to the next item, 151120, public hearing set for January 11th, 2020 at 6 p.m. for consideration of rezone of property at 55 and 65 Bagby Drive from a C5 general business district to mixed use. Applicant Melinda Sellers, Burr Foreman, LLP owner, 5565 Bagby Associates LLC, for use as a potential college. The planning, we saw this at the Planning Commission in November, and we gave a 7-0 favorable recommendation for the rezone. All right, Vicki, you want to start us off?
It's a very similar situation to the previous case. This is existing, these are two existing buildings that have been empty, and again, they're asking for MXD for a potential college, and the council set the hearing for January the 11th.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Ms. Sellers?
Yes, ma'am, this is, again, the two vacant buildings adjacent to the property we just discussed. The owner is in very preliminary conversations with Strayer University, but would prefer mixed use and is seeking mixed use for maximum flexibility. Like I said, I was before you guys, or whoever of you guys were on the council in 2015, kind of chasing an opportunity to occupy this space that didn't work out. So we're here before you asking for help getting these buildings occupied and in better shape, frankly.
Okay, any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Councilor Harden.
Ms. Sellers, this is John Harden. You know, the issue I think that I would have is that we don't know whether you're going to get Strayer University, and so I do think these buildings, anything that we can do to get them, something done with them would be positive. Do you know where they are in that process of getting a lease with them, so that I just hate to rezone something that is maybe something that never happens. Does that make sense?
It does. I do understand, but I feel like this rezoning to MXD with the hopes that it's a college shouldn't be very controversial, because the prior tenant was Virginia College. Now, Vicki and I scratched our heads about how that worked under a zoning before, but I feel like, the talk is with Strayer University. There's hopefully an approval of the adjacent property rezoned so it can be a charter school. I do realize MXD provides, more flexibility, But I really think we need that in that area. And like I said, to me, the most important thing is that it's also consistent with what's right up the road. Rather than having an institutional stick out by itself, we would have kind of some consistency in that area with MXD.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have a public hearing set on January 11th, so do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for no recommendation pending the public hearing on January 11th.
Motion from Counselor Gwaltney, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Counselor Nelms. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0 to go out without recommendation on January 11th. Thank you, Ms. Sellers. Thank you, Vicki, for sticking around for those items. And we will see y'all on January the 11th. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. Old business, 160115, update on past, present, and future sidewalk projects. Greg Cobb. Greg, is my understanding that we are going to sort of summarize what you're working on imminently?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I met with Mr. White and Ms. Smith back a month ago, I guess, on Salter Road, and we painted it out, and we got an issue down on the far west end where we're going to pop it back out in the road a little bit. So we referred that to Clark Bailey, who's going to give me a drawing on it because there's concern about pulling the curb out where you're going down Salter and all of a sudden it jumps out in front of you about 5 feet. So he's supposed to give me a drawing on that. I hadn't heard back from him. That particular road is the biggest project of all of them, and it's going to have to be publicly bid. I'd just soon go ahead and give it all to Clark if you want to and let them handle it because it's going to have to go out to bid, and they'll have some more drawings to do. I talked to him about doing very minimal drawings that don't require a lot of surveying to keep the engineering costs down, because once we've painted it on the ground, he can do a lot of it off aerial photos. That's what we talked about out there in the field the week after we met. So that's where we are on that one.
And can you tell me where again on Salter? What from where to where? Where are we
It's
on
from
that?
Rockaway down to Wellington. South
Oh,
Wellington.
wow.
All the way, it's a
Oh.
long one.
It connects what's there to.
Right, right. Oh, gosh, that's
It's about
great,
2,000
guys.
feet long, but it'll
Okay.
connect to where the new park is proposed to be.
That's right, okay.
So it's a good project.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yes, sir.
So do we need to go ahead and send that out for public bid, or?
That was just my proposal. I wanted to ask y'all tonight if you'd like to go ahead and just let Clark handle the whole thing, because he's going to have to make drawings on it. To put it out to public bid, the only way I pulled that off on Mayfair is I put it out to public bid and I made a walkthrough, pre-bid walkthrough mandatory. So all the contractors that bid it had to come and walk the project with me. And that's what we did. So I had 6 or 8 contractors out there, and we went through the whole project, and I had it painted on the ground because I didn't have any drawings. But this one's over 2,000 feet long. It's a little bit more cumbersome to do that, you know.
Well, do you need anything from us, I guess, at this point about that project to get Clark to do that?
Well, just tell me if that's what you want to do or not.
Do pass that out of committee, or do I need to send that to finance? I mean,
Yeah.
can I make the motion? No, I'm kidding.
I'm not on the committee, but
Okay.
I would love it if someone would send it to finance to.
And I will say, Ms. Nelms was there with us as well, and Ms. Nelms is on the committee.
Yeah. So are we going to take these section by section, like each, so we need a motion here, but I do have other things that I want to hear about from Mr. Cobb. So go ahead and take that motion now, is that right? Okay, I'm assuming that's a motion from Counselor Nelms, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, this motion is to send
This to
Salter from
finance.
Rockaway to South Wellington to the Finance Committee.
Correct.
Okay, from Counselor Nelms, do I have a second?
A second.
Second from Counselor Sims, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0. That's exciting.
So,
Okay.
Councilor Andrews, can you clarify, will that be a new item that goes over to finance or President White? Because this item needs to stay here for update.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, no, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Just wanna
whether
make
we
sure-
just put it in two, I think we can just put it in.
Okay, so same item number will be, but, okay. Just want to make sure we didn't lose.
Yeah, oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
no,
Good
no.
point.
So just procedurally, I was talking to Counselor Jones about this earlier. There's a tabled item that's named similarly to, as this in finance. So is that how it's brought up, is you untable that item and discuss it through it?
I'd forgotten there was a table item. Yeah, well then, yeah, we can just, I mean, I think you still need to vote to send it to finance, but then we'll pull it off the table. Pull that
Okay.
item off the table and do it that way.
Robert, did you get all that? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, great, that's awesome news. Okay, what else?
All right. The Rumson project, that Shades Creek to Durham Drive piece, I've got somebody set up to do that. But when I met with them, it was right before Thanksgiving, and the same thing came up this time last year, that we don't want to be out there on Shades Creek at Christmas time
Oh,
in
shoot,
front of
that's
Brookwood
right.
Mall. So that'll fall sometime after Christmas.
Okay, that's right. And this, to clarify, this is just going to be from the crosswalk to Durham.
Right.
Just that little section right
Right,
there.
it's not a big deal, it's just a matter of blocking the lane of traffic right here at
That's
Christmas
right,
time.
I remember. Yep, sure enough.
All right, being Montgomery Street, I've had 2 contractors look at that project. They haven't come back with any numbers yet. Their biggest concern was all the vehicles that are parked on the road that don't ever seem to move. And we need to get that moving, because you can't get a concrete truck in there to the sidewalk, because they all line that side of the street, and some of them don't look like they've moved in a long time. Lancaster, I had a contractor looking at it. I just got to turn them loose. If Brian, I got a couple of pictures to show you that this is from Bluff Park, and this is what we're looking at in Lancaster, where you hug the curb and then go around the mailboxes. And these were just some random pictures Scott Cook made for me when he was up in Bluff Park one day. He said, hey, that's what it's going to look like. I think a straight line looks a lot nicer, but yeah, the people are wanting to stay away from their homes. As long as the council's okay with that, then that's what we'll do. That's what I laid out. And we met with, Ms. Anderson and I met with each one of the homeowners over there.
Lancaster.
Lancaster. We met with all the homeowners, and they all understand it. We hadn't got much pushback for it all, so I'd like to move forward on it.
I do have a question for you. The Datnoff's tree, Henry went and looked at it and does not think that it will survive the construction process.
Is that the one on the far east end, the big
That's,
one?
yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, we'll
Yeah.
take it out. It'd make
Okay.
the sidewalk a whole lot better anyway.
Okay.
Than going around it, and
Do you
the
know it-
homeowner said they would take it, they wanted it gone.
They did. If it was not going to survive, they did. Do you know when that would come down? I was going to give them an update if you know.
I hadn't turned it over to Graves or anybody yet, but I
Okay.
mean, we just have to put it on their list.
Okay.
Might take a couple of weeks.
Okay.
You never know.
Okay, got it.
You
I'll
know,
write that
Christmas is right around the corner.
Yeah, that's
So that's
true.
gonna throw a curveball to all of us.
Okay.
The next one, Hampton Drive, actually has already been done, at Devon to Windsor. We did that, sometime last summer, remember, we went over and met with the people and adjusted all
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
sprinkler
done.
heads.
Yeah, that's done.
So that one's
That's
already
right.
done.
That's done.
Mecca, we need to hammer that down. We looked at possibly coming out in the street some and then possibly not, staying behind the road. I'd like to meet with the homeowners over there, where we're gonna take out the vegetation. So we're gonna arrange that, because down on the corner and a couple other places, we're gonna hit some serious vegetation. The other thought is, we got sidewalk on Peerless, do you really want it? And I heard earlier tonight, the possibility of Mecca sometime might go back to two-way. If y'all remember, when Mecca became a one-way, the middle school wasn't there. And now it is, and so a lot of people try to come back through the neighborhood. I know when I built the last section of sidewalk, I got to run over up there because I was facing where traffic should be coming from, but they surprised me. So that's where we are on that. The only thing I'd like to do is to meet with the 2 council reps from that ward, actually, and talk to the homeowners where we're going to tear up their vegetation. And some of it's pretty serious, and you don't like to surprise somebody with good morning, and by the way, we got a chainsaw in hand.
Hey, Greg?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so,
Yeah, go ahead,
yes.
Counselor Gear. Go
Sorry
ahead.
about that.
No, that's fine.
We have been out there in the street with them, and there are several issues around Mecca. We've just taken off of the agenda, public safety agenda, the traffic concerns, safety concerns, cars coming down one way. So yes, and there are a lot of concerns about there are issues, obstructions all up and down the street, trying to get this sidewalk in on one side. And then when you get to the end of the street, it's not really safe because of the way the road comes in from Oxmoor. Homeowner, I mean, I think we may need to get creative, is what I'm trying to say, with Mecca. And they've been waiting for a while on Mecca, and I'm wondering if we can't, I don't know about the priority, but if we can all meet and...
I'm available.
Okay.
I'm not taking any time off.
Okay.
Well, and the one concern I would have to going out into the street is we instantly prevent ourselves from ever making any road changes over there.
That's right.
So I would hope that we don't go that route because of one or two, homeowners that may not be there in 20 or 30 years. We have to think long-term, not short-term.
That's right. I know in one of the meetings earlier, I was listening on Zoom, it was mentioned about it possibly going to two-way because of the people that are coming up and turning short down Irving, I guess it is, which is pretty congested. So, that's something for the future, but we do need to meet with the homeowners. The one on the corner of Oxmoor is the one that's most heavily affected. It has the most vegetation to lose.
Well, there's several retaining walls up and down through there.
Two retaining walls.
And trees, and a lot of, I think there are some other options, possibly, we're not thinking about a two-way Mecca, are we?
I didn't say we were thinking about it. I said if we ever wanted to in the future consider it, we basically close the door on it becoming a two-way street if we put the sidewalk into the street.
The
So you either have to tear the sidewalk out, which goes back to issue number one, or we don't ever get a two-way.
That street's only 24 feet wide.
And I'm not saying I advocated for a two-way, just to be clear. I'm just saying there have been some residents that have asked for it to go back to being a two-way.
Can we also look at, well, we can talk about that later. Okay.
I'll meet the two of y'all out in the field whenever you see fit. Doesn't matter to me. We'll go out there and step on it.
That's the most productive.
Are there, okay, because it is, and you don't think it's so complicated that we need any other expertise, you think?
I can get it up the street. It's just a matter of what all you want to tear up to get there.
Okay.
That's just the thing is how much damage you're going to do to the properties, even though it's our right-of-way. I understand it's our right-of-way, but it's kind of gets bad when you start cutting down somebody's maple tree.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's where we are. So I'm still pushing and rolling on them. Nothing's dead. It's just not moving as quick as I'd like.
Are there any other motions that you need from us tonight to keep moving, or you're good?
Just that question of whether or not you want to give Salter all to Clark.
Yeah, we sent that to finance for,
Well,
okay.
I'll talk with him and get an estimate on what it would cost to do it, the whole
Exactly.
thing, because the discussion he and I had in the field was to keep this to a minimum and work mainly off aerial photos and my painted marks and the things we walked the whole thing.
That's exciting.
I had a question, Ms.
Yeah, go
Solomon.
ahead, Councilor Alderman.
So, I just think that, as someone who's new, who's unfamiliar with any of the projects that have already been noted, right, that we're going to try to do, right, at what point do we get to bring up new projects? At what point do we get a list so that we could have information and status updates on a more regular basis?
President Wyatt, you look like you're ready to jump in there.
I am. So we do need to get you the list. Each of these projects were already approved.
Yeah, that's why, I figured.
And so I think what we wanted to do tonight was to get an update on the ones that were already approved so that we can sort of get past those and talk about what comes next on the list, because my thought is, Mr. Jones, correct me if I'm wrong, that what we're really looking at in terms of getting to the next ones on the list is probably a mid-year review or later, simply because not as much sidewalk money went into the budget this year because of the revenue projections.
Sure.
These were based off of what was already in there, but when we hit mid-year review, we are going to need to talk about what's next. So we need to get it. Mr. Kyle, could you email out the list to everyone, and that way
It's
we'll
a
have
long list.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I would love to get a sense of where we are.
And then we would have, my thought is that we'll have another one of these sometime around the mid-year review when we know how much money we have or don't have to talk about the next ones.
Sure. Thank you.
Also, we're still steady working on wheelchair ramps. The ramps requested over by Hall-Kent School will be done during the Christmas break, because it's going to be pretty equipment intensive right there at the school. So we've got that scheduled to go in while they're out for Christmas. So there's a lot of other things going on besides just this. We're putting in wheelchair ramps on, every one of these projects will be ADA compliant, have ramps on each end, and other places that we see that we need them.
So you did find somebody to do Hall Kent?
I already got it lined up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And just kind of related to that discussion to connect, there was an earlier item in public safety about the potential crosswalk on Broadway and that ramps would potentially go in prior to that crosswalk, and that item is going to full council this coming Monday. So just wanted to.
Right. It'll have ramps. If we put a crosswalk in, it's going to have ramps on each end.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for that. It's lots of exciting things happening. We appreciate that. Okay, next item, 300619, request to consider ordinance to govern appearance of small cell antennas. Councilor Gwaltney, do you want to leave this on the agenda?
I do, and Mr. Kendrick, correct me if I'm wrong, we still have the ability to regulate the appearance to some extent, correct? Through the addendum? Yeah, maybe we'll get more leeway.
We have some, though.
Yeah. So, Mayor McCluskey sent me a sample ordinance to read through and see about coming up with some guidelines that would be, I guess, reasonable. We currently have some carrier building in the city in a much less intrusive manner than other carriers have performed their installations. So they're putting their stuff on wood poles. So to be honest, the horse may be out of the gate per se, if that's a saying. But I will read through the ordinance and I'll see about making some recommendations for the aesthetics related to small cells.
Okay. Mayor, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just really quick, wanted to say that the group of Over the Mountain Mayors has met and discussed this as well, because these are popping up in everybody's cities. And we're all looking at the same thing, which is what I sent to Councilor Gwaltney. I think there are some benefits in what we can do, and as Mr. Kendrick said, we have some say-so, not a whole lot, but we have some. And with
It's supposed to get better.
Yeah, that's right. And with the new 5G technology coming in versus the 4G, that's where some of the problems are lying. In other cities, they have underground power, so these giant poles that are going up are sticking a little bit more like a sore thumb than they do here, where we have everything above ground. But with the 5G technology, from what I understand, it's not just a canister on top of the pole anymore. Now it has the 3 fans.
It depends on which.
Depending on which carrier.
Which model.
Sure. Sure. So there are some things that we have to work through, but we're continuing to talk, and that's why I sent the ordinance for Mr. Gwaltney to take a look at, and we'll just continue to go through it. And we'll meet, and I'll keep the discussion with you.
And the one thing I would challenge all the other councilors to do is, as you drive around the city, see if you can pick them out. There are a variety of technology flavors that have already been installed. The one thing I have noticed is the newer ones that are being installed are on wooden poles, which is allowed by ordinance if it's in I believe, Mr. Kendrick, correct me if I speak errantly, but is allowed without coming to council, but if you place a new pole outside of an existing pole line. And that's where I think we need to look at potentially going down the route of a decorative pole. If it's downtown, obviously decorative. But all the pole lines that I've seen new stuff go on, I barely even noticed it because it was going on an existing pole. And it actually doesn't look any more intrusive than a 3-phase transformer on top of the pole. The new radios that whoever is putting them up, they're probably the size of this iPad box. Well, probably twice the size of this iPad box. And they really don't look that bad. But see if you can spot them, so you can have some feedback.
But I think that was the whole point, was to discuss where there is an existing pole.
Yeah.
Have to go there first.
Yep.
If you have to put a new pole in, then.
Because ultimately we want everything underground.
Perfect. So, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, we will continue to carry that over then. 08-11-20, public hearing set for January 11th, 2020 at 6 o'clock for consideration of changes to the zoning ordinance, brought to us by Mr. Kendrick, our city attorney, and President Wyatt, and also myself from the Planning Commission. We had some long discussions about these a couple of weeks ago. We can have further discussion now, or we can wait until the public hearing on January 11th, but this is going to stay on the agenda until then. Is anyone have anything they want to add to the discussion?
And there's nothing new that's
There's
changed.
nothing new, that's
These are the
correct.
same things.
There were
that we've
3
already
items. I don't have them right in front of me. I'm trying to remember what, we discussed them at length, though.
We did.
And it's,
Discussion, we didn't advertise.
Right.
yeah, so,
Being advertised came out of the discussion.
Yeah, all we're doing now is just waiting for the
for the
proper
public
time
hearing.
for the public hearing. So
That's
y'all can even
correct.
send it out without recommendation already. if you
oh,
want to.
well, let's do
Counselor
that.
Andrews?
Okay, yes.
One
Counselor
question.
Spotney?
I was remote on that call. I believe Counselor Sims asked for examples. Did we receive those? Or will they be covered at the public hearing?
Can you remind me which one the, which of the
So
3 items?
I think the request was for example renderings to kind of see how corner lots calculated
Oh, yeah.
now versus in the new ordinance, depending on the language, and then also for the percentage, I think, of pervious surface in the back third of the
Oh, yeah,
lot.
that's
Is
right.
that? So just calculations of that before and after related to, I think, maybe some buildings in the back third of the property or the back half. Vicki, are you?
Yes. I don't have them for you now, but I will get them to you before the meeting on the 11th, so you can take a look at them, and then I'll have them that night, and we can project.
Thank you. And
That's great. Thanks
the
so
third
much.
item was just wording, right?
The third item had to do with the certified mail.
Oh, that's right, thank you. Okay, the wording was the corner lot, that's what, okay, thank you, I'm sorry, it's like Thanksgiving cobwebs in my brain still. Okay, so do I have a recommendation to send this out? Do I have a motion to move this without recommendation for the public hearing? So moved. So moved from Counselor Nelms, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Counselor Sims, all those in favor, please say aye. Yes.
Would you rather leave it
No.
here for now?
Nope.
Will you get those examples?
Counselor Sims, would you rather me leave it here until we get examples, or can you wait until the public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh, she might have.
Okay, sorry. I honestly thought the last meeting we did send it out, but I was trying to see.
I think I remember.
It says we made a motion.
You sent it out for public hearing.
Yeah,
We didn't-
the committee moved to set it for a public hearing at
But
the
we didn't
council.
send- we
and
did
then
not
that's-
send it out.
So, and then that happened at council, so this is the first time it's shown up with the public hearing notice.
So-
So it has to be sent out
Still needs to be sent
without
out, yeah.
recommendation at some point before open enrollment.
So are you comfortable, Counselor Sims, waiting until the 11th to see your illustrations? Or she can send that to us before, but not to discuss it again in committee until we see it? Or do we-
I am comfortable with sending it out to public hearing.
Okay, so I had a motion from Counselor Nelms, second from Counselor Sims, all those in favor? Aye? Aye.
Aye.
Over there, I hear no one opposed, okay, any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0, and we are adjourned.